Hi, I'm Dr. Chloe Carmichael, clinical psychologist and author of Nervous Energy, Harness the Power of Your Anxiety. One of the techniques in the book that I like very much is called the three-part breath. The three-part breath is actually the very first technique in the book because it helps people to build their mindfulness skills so that they can determine which of the other 8 techniques in the book will be most helpful to them at any given moment. The three-part breath is a really great technique to learn because not only does it just help give your body a nice boost of oxygen, but actually many studies, including from Harvard Medical School and Johns Hopkins, have shown that by doing mindfulness exercises like the one I'm going to show you, where we learn how to be mindful and observant of something simple like our breath, actually do build our powers of self-observation so that we can then become more mindful and observant and insightful about more abstract things about ourselves, like our thoughts and emotions. So by taking that moment to be mindful with your breath, you're not only getting all of the great benefits of doing a good breathing exercise, but if you do it in the mindful way that I'm going to be showing you, you'll also be building those powers of self-observation so that you can choose, for example, which of the 8 techniques in my book would be most helpful to you. But of course, that helps you in other situations as well, even if you don't happen to have my book. Now, the three-part breath, in my experience, has always been a very pleasant thing to do, but I would, of course, encourage you that if you have any questions or concerns about your medical condition, if you're at all concerned about getting dizzy, or if you have any medical issues with breathing at all, by all means, go ahead and check with your medical doctor. But what we'll be doing here today is just a simple 3-part breath exercise. So let's go ahead and get started. To start with the 3-part breath, we first need to locate the 3 parts. The first part is the belly. So if you put your hand on your belly, right where your belly button would be, and you take a breath in, you feel it kind of balloon with air. The second part is right here. So if you take a breath in and you put your hands right there on the sides of your rib cage, and you take a breath in, you'll feel that area expanding horizontally. And the third part is in the upper chest. So if you put your hand on your upper chest and take a breath in, you'll feel that actually rising vertically. So when we do the 3-part breath, it's going to be one continuous inhalation from the belly through the middle chest all the way up to the upper chest, and we'll take what we call a moment at the top of the inhale, and then we'll exhale just the upper chest and then the middle chest, and then we'll empty the belly completely. Now we're going to be doing this here in kind of a best practices way, with your feet flat on the floor and your hands in your lap with your palms facing up. But once you get practiced at this, you'll be able to pull it out without even having to go through all of these motions. I myself actually used this very same technique to rescue myself from a bit of a panic attack that I once had on national television when I started to mispronounce a word. I tell the whole story in the book. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started then. So to prepare, you'll put your feet flat on the floor and your hands in your lap with your palms facing up. Now take your physical gaze to your hands, which is just a fancy way of saying look at your hands, but we word it that way really to remind you of the power of the body-mind connection. So by choosing with your mind to focus your eyes on your hands, you're starting to take your focus inward. You're starting to focus on yourself. And now, without doing the 3-part breath yet, just observe your breath. Notice, for example, how your clothing might move when you inhale or exhale, noticing the temperature of the air as it hits your nostrils, how deeply or shallowly you might be breathing, anything at all, even noticing how it feels to focus on your breath. Just any observation about yourself and your breath in this moment is a fine observation to make. And now let's go ahead and exhale to prepare. And then inhaling, 1, the belly balloons with air. 2, the middle chest widens horizontally. 3, the upper chest rising vertically. Now holding a moment at the top of the inhale, And then exhaling just the upper chest, 2, the middle chest, and 3, the belly empties completely. Maybe even taking your navel to spine, like you're fitting into a tight pair of jeans, to really push all the air out. And then 1, letting the belly balloon with air again. 2, the middle chest widens. And 3, the upper chest rising vertically. Holding for a moment at the top of the inhale, noticing what it feels like to feel full of air. And then exhaling just the upper chest sinking, 2, feeling the circumference of the ribs shrinking a bit as you exhale that middle chest. And 3, the belly empties completely. Now, keeping your gaze on your hands, just observe your breath again without trying to do the 3-part breath. One of the great ways that we can build our powers of self-observation sometimes is by comparing and contrasting 2 different experiences. So you might ask yourself to notice, what are some differences in how you're breathing now compared to the first time that you observed your own breathing just a moment ago? And you might even find that it's relaxing to just pay attention to yourself in that way. And if you do, that's great. But remember, it's actually just a side benefit. The real skill we're building here is actually just our powers of self-observation. So just noticing your observations. Now, ideally, you could either tell someone your observations or even write them down. Again, part of the benefit here is that we're learning how to take that internal experience of thoughts and feelings and observations and learning how to put them into language that helps us to think quickly on our feet. It helps to reduce stress. It helps us to communicate better and to get our needs met. I know it's pretty amazing that we can do all of this through mindfulness exercises like the 3-part breath. But again, the Journal of the American Medical Association and Harvard Medical School and many very reputable places now have entire centers devoted to the study of mindfulness because it does help people to do all of the things that I just described. Plus, of course, breathing is just really good for you. So thank you so much for practicing the 3-part breath with me. If you'd like to share your observations or any questions or comments about it with me, please do feel free to share them with me over social media if you would like. We also have different programs and masterclasses here that you can get involved in if you'd like to do that, or you can just simply practice this skill of doing the 3-part breath, and even practicing it for a minute a day should help you eventually to get to the point where you can just do it very quickly and calmly whenever you feel the need. Thank you so much again for practicing with me, and I hope that you have a good rest of the day.